paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, that's downright refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. Corbin Hostler, joined as always by my co-hosts DJ and Cass. Welcome into the show, everybody. Welcome, DJ. Welcome, Cass. We've got a lot to talk about this week. How have you all been?
Can't say as always, Corbin. You can't promise them that. We're all going to die eventually.
And this podcast will not.
God willing.
Are you prepping Ben to take over for you?
He did film a YouTube video earlier today. I won't put my kid on YouTube, but that's what he wants to do, is film a YouTube video talking about his dinosaur. You know, facts about the Therizinosaurus. Very cute.
Well, can we raid him? Can we get this kid a Raid Shadow Legend sponsorship? Can we smash that subscribe button?
I did see something on Twitch the other day where like some kind of like young child prodigy at Call of Duty was unbanned, despite being banned originally for, you know, being a like 10-year-old or whatever.
That was me.
So there's precedent for it, I guess.
That was me, Corbin.
That was you. Oh, good, cool. Yeah, you're just
I
look at you.
Know that I'm very big into the FPS scene, and I'm also just extremely toxic and misogynistic on
Call of Duty gamer for sure.
DJ does hate women.
Confirmed. Yeah, I'm just very good at like play. I just role play as like just somebody who would bring that type of weapon into that kind of place and just go at it.
A shopping mall or beach or silo or a nuclear weapons facility. They're all right next to each other in the Call of Duty.
That is true. There was actually, so when I was living in Pennsylvania, I had to drive to, I had to go to Passover with my fiance's family, like the day after or something. I didn't have, or maybe they didn't have nice enough dress clothes. So we had to go to like an outlet mall in the middle of, you know, nowhere, Pennsylvania, to buy like dress pants or something. And we drive past like a giant like nuclear tower, like the smokestacks or whatever. And we're like, wow, that's like really, that's just kind of like right here. That's so cool. I've never been this close to one before. And the strip mall was like quarter mile away from it. You're like in the strip mall and it is right there. It's like Springfield and it's Springfield in Simpsons.
And this,
yeah,
it's like the Simpsons. It was just like a full like nuclear smokestack right next to the strip mall, and it was so weird to like walk out of the La Crusette store holding like a fun little, you know, roasting dish and then be like, oh, nuclear power. That's Pennsylvania for you.
No, that's not just Pennsylvania. When I was first going to college, my dad's now ex-girlfriend gave us, she was on the tour with us of the campus that I was going to, and there's a nuclear power plant about like 15 or 20 miles down the lake. And you can see the smokestack, you can see the smoke and everything. And before she left, she gave me a little pack of pills that she had bought online that are supposed to protect you from the radiation just in case anything happens. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, pills, that'll help, for sure.
Yeah.
Personally, my plan, if there's ever like a nuclear meltdown, is to hide in my fridge.
I've heard under the desk is good. I've heard under the desk.
The fridge worked for Indiana Jones.
That's what I'm saying. That's like George Lucas confirmed. Was he in control of that movie? I can't remember.
Based on that scene, you'd imagine yes, but I honestly don't know.
It's not.
Did you see Dial of Destiny?
I did not.
Refuse.
I did not either. Okay.
I refuse to have my suspension of disbelief shattered for that fairy tale of a movie.
But what I think is interesting is I recently showed Ben the other Indiana Jones movie. And the second one in particular, obviously the first one at the end, but the second one in particular is just full on with the magic in a thing in that universe. So I don't know why people get so mad at the refrigerator scene when you got people like flash phasing into people's hearts and shit.
I mean, the same movie with the refrigerator scene also just had aliens, right?
Yeah.
Like the crystal skull was an alien skull. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen the decade-old Indiana
Yes.
Jones 4. Like,
We have aliens now, though. They confirmed that.
yeah. So right now we're kind of in the funniest part of society where people in like real positions of power are both getting old enough that it's affecting them and have enough lead poisoning that it's affecting them. And we're going to get a lot more of that, of just like former generals being like, yeah, the UFOs were there. And it's going to be so funny.
Yeah.
It's also like crossing the streams with Twitter, right? Like the fact that Twitter is in the state that it is just like a nice.
Well,
little...
Twitter doesn't exist, so it's not in any state at all. Perhaps you're referring to X, the everything company by Sir Elon Musk.
Or
I don't
if you
believe
go
he's
to
been knighted.
Twitter.com, does that 404 or anything? Does that like
It redirects you. That doesn't.
Let's
mean
find
anything.
out right now. Twitter.
Every media company refers to it as X, the platform
Actually-
previously known as Twitter.
When you type in twitter.com and hit enter, it takes you to this website that is just a screaming hellfire, where all of your worst nightmares come true. I don't think this is not Elon's website.
I think I can see your face melting off like an Indiana Jones movie just by looking at it.
Well,
He's a
look,
brain genius.
Speaking of Elon, Valorant Masters happened. Whatever. A Valorant championship. And Mr. Musk was in attendance. The tweeter-in-chief, the Xer-in-chief, was there.
Zeter.
Yeah, the Zeter. Oh god, flexing his muscles that he's prepping for that cage fight with Zuck to the crowd there, and he got a big introduction and a big response from the crowd. Unfortunately for Elon, that response was a resounding booing and a chant of, and this, by the way, is the ultimate dunk on DJ's point, the chant of "Bring back Twitter."
A classic
drop.
MTG Finance topic.
Yeah, mic drop, by the way. That silence you're hearing, that's it. Twitter's
I
dead.
might have.
That's why it needs to be brought back.
I think Corbin's girl bossing a little too hard right now.
Girl mathing.
He's having his girl dinner of just like a Buffalo Wild Wings.
I'm
lemonade
girl
or something.
mathing right now.
Everything you get at B-dubs is actually technically a girl dinner because it's just like a plate of stuff. Like 4 wings
That you
is
pay
a girl dinner.
$40. That you pay $40 for.
Buffalo Wild Wings is very expensive. I
saw a
rarely go
post.
there.
I saw a post about what has to be just like the most psychotic behavior I've ever seen in my life. Of someone who gets on a plane, flies somewhere, gets off their plane, and then eats at a Buffalo Wild Wings at the airport they arrive at. They don't leave the airport and go to Buffalo Wild Wings. They just like go to one in the terminal.
Well, if you're lucky and they have one.
Who does that? Like when I get off my plane and I am leaving the airport, all I want to do is leave the airport.
Yeah, I can think maybe one time I've like stopped on my way out to sit down at a Chili's or whatever and sit on my computer before
Would
I
not be
embark
me.
on, getting to wherever
Just
I'm going.
get into the
but maybe
Sky
that's
Club.
I've traveled hundreds of times, right? So like maybe one.
Just get into the Sky Club.
Well, I don't think I had that option at that time. Now I do.
But like, are you gonna arrive at your destination and go to the Sky Club? No, you're gonna leave the freaking airport. You're gonna go to like some restaurant in the city because it's just better.
Yeah. Or at the very least, you're gonna get that Buffalo Wild Wings DoorDash to you in your hotel room
It's true.
while watching football. It's a pretty good way to spend a Thursday before you start work. I'm sorry, we might have got a little personal there, but welcome to the magic part of the show here. We're going to talk Wilds of Eldraine.
I pitched the word fairy tale to you 8 minutes ago. Like a lazy, lofted softball, and you just ignored it.
Yeah, it was a ball you missed. If you don't throw it in a hittable spot, no one's going to hit it, DJ. You threw a wild pitch, it missed, and
Was
now
that
you're mad
into
that the
this-
runners took
Was that a
second. I
baseball
don't get it.
reference? Was that
No,
a
I
baseball
threw it-
reference?
I threw
Basketball.
it right into the strikezone.com, which is now our... No, I'm just kidding. They don't sponsor.
Right into
Was
the
that a-
strike zone online.
I'm trying so hard to convert this transition here, y'all. Speaking of baseball, Have you all seen the new secret layer cards with the planeswalkers from Lorwyn as rookies?
Ooh, we sure did.
Corbin's
I
a
like
goddamn
them.
podcast rookie. He's missed 100,000 episodes.
I like them.
You like
I've
like
seen
them.
them and I do not care about them, and that is like they're nothing to me.
It's
They were
funny
all secret
because they
layers.
were accidentally previewed / foiled, I guess, by Ultra Pro in an Instagram post. I guess I'm not entirely sure if that wasn't.
We heard about them a few hours early. Is the
Yeah.
gist of it.
Yeah, they're just some missed time on their social
scheduling,
things. You know,
Almost really just like a
mean-
time zone thing.
not a big deal in the scope of things, in my opinion.
So these are basically the same as the cereal cards. Cereal as in the breakfast cereal. Surprise! Normally it's like, oh, serialized cards. The one of
Yeah,
100.
yep.
No, when I say cereal, I am talking about the Lucky Charms Ulamog because that's a world we live in. And those are
I like it.
double-faced cards that have sort of a regular frame on the other side, so you can still, I guess, play it as a legible Magic card. Asterisk. But these are the same thing in that they're like not double-sided cards that have different rules text for the purpose of gameplay. They're double-sided cards for the sake of clarity, which is, I guess, still like, I don't know, like, I don't know if I
Embrace
like
it.
that concept, but like I also don't care. Just like casts, it's gonna sell. They do the thing. It's a Magic card. That's what Magic cards are now.
The only way you're going listen, somebody at my old LGS, used to come into the store and they had those like, I don't remember what they were called, shadow sleeves or eclipse shadow, like these really, really dark.
The smoky ones.
Yeah. And they would play them reversed so that all of their cards were still visible through whatever this, like they would play them in a way that the cards were really dark and nearly impossible to read, but they were in legal sleeves, right? I don't remember the exact details, but that was the gist of it, right?
Did this
The
person
point
also have
is-
tinted windows on their too expensive car?
So I
Well,
have-
I can tell you later. The point is, some people just like to troll others, and for those people, they had ways to do these things to you without playing breakfast cereal or baseball cards. And now they have access to baseball cards in the off chance you run into them in any kind of situation or circumstance in which it's remotely relevant, right? Like, I'm with you. The end point here is like, it's just so hard to care if you don't like them, right? Just let it be.
We as a community of Magic players need to normalize bullying. There are lots of things that are technically legal to do in a tournament. Like, you're technically allowed to use smoky back sleeves flipped around to make your cards harder to read. That actually might not even be true. That might be unsportsmanlike conduct.
Oh, we
If-
eventually made them change them, but like, it's not something you're just like on the lookout for, you know?
Right, but like if someone does that, like, you change that through social pressure. You're just like,
yeah,
one of my favorite questions is someone asks, "Is this like, am I allowed to do this?" And I say, "Yes, you're allowed to do that, but you're a weenie if you do it." Like, more Magic players need to realize that like pushing everything to its natural conclusion just like isn't healthy socially, and they should just stop. They should just like try and engage in good faith with something for once in their life. If you're a Magic player who acts like that, just engage with something earnestly once in your life, and it might change your life.
Just put a blade of grass in a locket around your neck and just touch it once in a while.
Just really stroke it like it's like a rosary, you know? I don't know. I see people do that all the time. You just like, you grab the beads or whatever.
You grab the beads or whatever.
It's got to be spiritual or something, you know? We live in a society, people. A society where we're supposed to have our cards be legible. And in this society, the ruling class has decided that baseball cards are Magic cards, and to that I say, whatever, I don't care.
Look, people have been using Pokemon cards for tokens forever. Maybe this will encourage them to use baseball cards as tokens.
Listen, the token conversation I'll have for hours. If you're playing more than 3 different types of tokens in your deck, use official ones. If you're not, no one's allowed to complain. If I have 2 tokens in my deck, they can be whatever I want them to be.
Fair enough. I'll
That's
buy
the
that.
line.
I had a well, you know, we'll get to this. We'll get to this later. Let's talk wild of Eldraine this weekend? You're all going to be pre-releasing, hosting pre-releases? What are you expecting?
My store will be running like 6 pre-release flights or something. With any leftover kits we have, we're also doing one on Monday because it's Labor Day. So a lot of pre-releases, a lot of Eldraine, hopefully a full house, but we'll see. How about you,
think
DJ?
that do players seem like excited about it at your store?
I think so.
Like it's the hitting?
Yeah.
The only interaction I've had with the set so far has been through X.com, as Corbin will trigger
Just X,
my
DJ.
trigger
Don't
my
say
electric
Google.com.
wristband if I don't call it Twitter. But I have seen, I guess, lukewarm excitement, and that's sure people are. They bought the Commander Masters, they did the thing, and they're gonna buy this one, and the fairy tales are gonna resonate with people, and it'll impact Standard or it won't, and the world will continue to spin.
Are you going to be up to anything this weekend, DJ? Are you watching from up?
I'm in SCG
Bar
Columbus,
here.
so there's going to be a modern 20K, and then there's also Eldraine pre-releases going on there, and people will bring their very weird Ristic Study and Smothering Tithe art up to me, and I will politely decline to buy it because that is how buying new cards works at these types of events.
Be impossible to price it, right?
It's impossible
Kind
to
of.
price it, and like your target customer for that card is not there.
I will say, sentiment on social media is generally very different than the sentiment of the average Magic player. People walking through the store have largely been excited about individual cards, and the set they could just kind of care less about it as like a whole thing.
Yeah.
But like people taught there's like some card that's like a jackalope, like a rabbit with a unicorn horn that's
Yeah.
power and toughness equal to number of creatures you control for 2 mana, and they
Yes,
keep calling it
yeah.
white Tarmogoyf. So like people are excited about things. They're wrong, but they're excited.
You don't like that one?
No, that's not white Tarmogoyf. I know Tarmogoyf, let me tell you, that is not my boy. That
Oh,
is
it's not playable.
some sort of imposter. But I really do think that like people aren't hyped about Magic, they're hyped about specific game pieces to put in their deck.
Yep, I think that's true. The reason I asked this question is because coming off of Lord of the Rings and the big hype, and it feels like Lord of the Rings in a time where Magic, and look, I know Commander Masters and people were mad on it. So outside of being mad, basically all anyone's been talking about is Lord of the Rings type things for months now, which is not really something that happens in Magic. Right? We've actually had a pretty extended amount of time to breathe with that set. Now we don't have standard rotation coming with Wilds of Eldraine, but in the classic sense, but we do have new stuff entering. There's a ban list update from a few months ago. The World Championship coming up in just a few weeks, which is going standard. So there is a lot going on with Wilds of Eldraine, but yeah, it still feels like I haven't seen. There was no. I vividly remember that gingerbread person and Garrick trailer. It was coming on the heels of War of the Spark.
Did you see
into that? It was neat.
Did you see the 15-second Japanese trailer they made for this set that was just better?
この国は元には戻らない。
元に戻すんじゃない。新たな平和を築くんだ。
I will come to the defense of the Gingerbread Man trailer. I will absolutely
I
come to
loved
the defense of it. It's the only good trailer they've ever done.
Oh,
The Ikoria one is a nothing burger. It was just like someone
I
really
agree.
wanted to use that song. The War of the
That
Spark
was
one,
bad.
absolutely rancid.
no.
But the
No.
Wilds of Eldraine one, the War of the Spark one was so bad, and I will fight to the death about this. It wasn't
is
just
okay.
that it was like cringe or whatever, but it was just like, it was nothing. It was just like, why were we rewinding time slowly and showing what happened in reverse? Like, 2 characters die unceremoniously. It's just like, it's not interesting. The Wilds of Eldraine one had like an actual story, actual emotion, had a real vibe and aesthetic to it that wasn't just like some attempt at like League of Legends style realism. Like, I'm gonna say it. It felt like Shrek 2.
God damn it.
I think that everything you said there is objectively true. And yet, For instance, to tie this a little larger here, you can make a lot of criticisms of the movie Star Wars, but it was the first to do it in that way, and therefore holds a special place in our hearts. The War of the Spark trailer was new ground for Magic. It was a new level of marketing at a time when Arena was coming out. We had big hype about the game.
It was new
Wizards
ground because somebody
taking
made it
the
on
shot.
new ground. Corbin, it was new ground because somebody made it on new grounds.
Hold me back, DJ. I'm about to put
No.
Corbin in the ground. I'm about to put you in the ground, Corbin. It was new territory. No, Star Wars was actually like a new thing. They did like incredible amount of work with like miniatures, great acting, and like kind of like a cool new plot idea. It was like really one of the first times sci-fi was like super mainstream. World of Warcraft made a better trailer 10 years before the War of the Spark trailer. Like, it wasn't they were doing new territory. They just like made a shittier version of something every other major IP had done.
Yeah, but listen, we understand that we're grading on a curve because what we got before that was art that they animated and stretched out to be 45 seconds long, and they called it a trailer.
So the new Phyrexia on that topic, the new Phyrexia trailer was a banger from 2011. That one was very good. In terms of what they were doing, they made that in a cave with scraps or whatever, and that one was excellent.
Like, I watched all the Magic trailers like last week, and none of them aged well except for the Eldraine one. And it's partially because like it had an artistic vision that wasn't just like telling the stories of the cards, right? Like it basically didn't tell any of the Eldraine story other than that Garrick was there, and that they were gingerbread people who were real, and that there was a castle being stormed. Like, none of that's actually super relevant. But it told the entire story of what the world was, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What about the Innistrad one where the kid has a crutch and and then it gets turned into a werewolf or something, and there's a whole like orphanage riot, and they.
That one also wasn't good though. It didn't like tell anything about the world other than that there are werewolves there.
That's all you need to know is that it's a Van Helsing world.
I guess, but it really wasn't though, right? Like it was. Like, I guess it took place in a Van Helsing world, but like it wasn't evocative in the same way that the Eldraine one was to me.
I think you just like Shrek 2, Cass. I
do like Shrek 2. But it's also the only one that I would ever show somebody who didn't know Magic and not feel embarrassed about.
I agree with... I had completely forgotten about this Midnight Hunt trailer. And I actually think it's a banger. So I don't know where that puts me in the... I was refamiliarizing myself with this video. This video was... But I as far as it's just a video game trailer. But, you know, like, it's just a cutscene. I'll give you that making a cool 4-minute cutscene is something that a video game does a dozen times. So, fair enough.
For them, it was Tuesday. I get it.
Yeah.
But it was, for Magic, it was cool.
Honestly, if they just made a Shrek 2 set, I'd be super happy.
But it might... so there was a card going around, and it was a joke card, it turns out, based on an Eldraine card. It was like Beseech the One Ring, and it showed someone like... I don't even know what the original's card, but they're beseeching him. And instead it's like they open up a portal to the One Ring. And it's hilarious because for longer than I care to admit, I was like, oh shit, they have the rights to this now. They can just do that. They can just make this a world in their multiverse. That was a thing that I thought of.
Well, they super don't have the rights to it.
I'm gonna make an altar where it's Beseech Post Malone's apartment.
Do you think he has an apartment?
I think he has an apartment, among other things. I think he's got an apartment. I think he's got a mansion. He's got no
apartments. He has a penthouse at worst.
It's got nothing because he spent it all on the one ring.
2 mils chump change.
Yeah.
I don't think it is, and it was 2.6 mil. I don't think it's chump change.
No, it wasn't. The 2.6 mil was based on a TikTok comment where the guy admitted he made it up after.
So let's play a game. Each of you is going to Price is Right style guess Post Malone's net worth. Hands up. I don't want to. No Googling. Each of you, Price is Right style guess Post Malone's net worth.
39 million.
DJ?
I'm gonna say 100 mil.
Well, DJ, you lose by Price is Right rules. It's $45 million.
Oh, nailed it!
$2 million is like not chump change, but it's kind of chump change. Like,
I get it. I mean, if I had 40, I don't, right? So I don't know what I'd be like. But it stands to reason that if one had $45 million, you might at some point think to yourself, what the fuck do I have $45 million for? If not to spend $2 million of it on the 1/1 ring.
It's also one of those things where, like, some amount of that purchase is almost certainly deductible as, like, a business expense if he's doing any business related to being a Magic celebrity.
Which he almost certainly is.
Right.
I'm sure it's all. I'm sure Post Malone's taxes can in some way benefit from this. That's a fair point also. Yeah. All right, well, enough about taxes, enough about Eldraine. How about some Magic finance? How about some Breaking Bolt?
Breaking Bolt time. Breaking Bolt time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
I got a good one that I don't know if it is a black common from the Lord of the Rings. Tales of Middle Earth before Corbin has a conniption.
Middle Earth is capital M dash lowercase e. If you.
Well, Cass already got it correct while you were fritting over grammar. So
what did she say? What is it?
Troll of Khazad-dûm.
Yeah, that card's
4 of in Legacy.
Yeah, that card's
it
super
is
unblockable.
A 1-mana swamp cycling creature with other text on it. That is what you need to know.
The text is unblockable.
It also has a mana value of 6 or 7?
6.
So it does that much damage to you when you reanimate it to make your Death Shadow that much bigger.
Oh, yeah. Also that.
Yeah. Sure.
The Legacy Shadow decks can play 4 copies of Reanimate now because they have 4 copies of Grief and 4 copies of this. Which means you just get to, like, kill them super quickly with, like, turn 1 Swamp Cycle, turn 2 Shock myself, reanimate this thing, play a Death Shadow. I have a 6/7 and, like, a 6/6 or something that I kill you next turn or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to imagine that a lot of Lord of the Rings bulk is not being returned back into the industry like normal bulk sets are. There are so many more players of this set where they got the box, they got the set box, and then it's in their living room still, and those cards will stay there among the draft commons and the penny cards until that person goes to their first FNM in a couple months, or slowly doses themselves into the ecosystem, and then they meet a friend who visits and says, "Oh, you just have a bunch of cards. Oh, this thing's worth $2," and then those cards sort of naturally flow back into the big lake that is Card Kingdom's warehouse of this water cycle weird analogy that I'm doing, but like that is where this card is in the life cycle, and there's not many of them out there, and that's why it's already like a couple dollars just for a very recent common.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, I'll follow it up with a card that is currently, I don't know if spiking's the word, but currently rising. It's a more recent addition to the Breaking Bolt family. It's a Dominaria colorless uncommon.
This is 2018 Dominaria?
Yes.
Is it the Mana Rock?
Nope.
Damping Sphere is like the one that you're going to say no to.
It is not Damping Sphere.
I don't like the tome from that set.
Wait, colorless uncommon could mean land.
Good.
Or the non-basics in that set.
There was like the common to play tapped monocolor cycle.
Zalfiran Void?
It is not Zalfiran Void.
That was a common, I believe.
Good guess, though.
Is it the tome that, like, the JMJ tome callback? No,
it's a creature.
Oh, the Joris Familiar.
There you go.
Oh, sure.
Joris Familiar, 4 mana, colorless. It's a 2/2 flyer. It's a little bird. But it makes your historic spells cost 1 less. That being your artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. That's pretty good. It got reprinted once in Double Masters. And it's just been kind of rising.
While. And I assume Saga's getting more prominent is what's giving people a better look at it, because
I would imagine that this goes in your Tom Bombadil decks and or anything else that makes use of the mini sagas and saga like saga type matters type decks,
Yeah, because the purchase path for this card is somebody on Scryfall looking for saga in rules text. and then
Yeah,
they
it's
see
also
$1.
possible it pops up something with bargain, but I don't think so. I think this is sort of than that. But yeah, so Jorah's Familiar, worth picking up out of Dominaria as well as Double Masters.
For my Breaking Bulk this week, which you two will never get in a million years, which I've had this Breaking Bulk ready for hours, days even, is a M21 Rare that is black.
Is
Cordial
it the
Vampire.
Memra side of?
No, that's a Modern Horizons.
Is it the Memra side of the set, like the cranial extraction variant?
Yes, Necromentia.
I knew what it
love
looked
that
like.
one.
It's got like very colorful art.
It's very, very purple and green.
Yeah.
The card's like $2 ish. There are multiple buy lists around 50 cents, some even higher.
What's this twist on this? What does this do?
So it's they get a zombie for each copy of the card you named that was in their hand. A 2/2 zombie.
Okay. And the only time you're casting this is against combo decks who do not care if they have a zombie.
Right. It sees a little bit of play in like modern Yawgmoth sideboards, but with the uptick on Orcish Bowmasters, there's just more black decks being played. And it's a relatively powerful sideboard option, and Core 2021 came out in the middle of COVID, so it didn't get open nearly as much. A lot of things kind of putting pressure on this card, and it's slowly crept up, so pull them out of your bulk.
Good advice.
This
All right.
This is some wild artwork.
Yeah.
This is the kind of artwork that, like, you want to walk up to somebody who's looking at this and tell them that the spiders are real.
The spiders are real.
They are, by the way.
I've never heard
those
that.
spiders are real.
I have never heard that in my life.
If you've been wondering,
That's not an okay thing to say.
Wake up.
You're in a Truman Show style situation. Everything around you is cameras.
Week that you need to wake up.
Hey, that's not funny to joke about. The person they Truman showed in real life on jury duty had to had to go to therapy for like making everything. Let's get back to we've talked about the fairy spiking, fairy harbingers moving. I'm sure there'll be others to follow as Eldraine. But that's not the only cards that are moving due to some news. DJ, do you want to take Baldur's Gate?
I mean, I have not played the video game, the very highly acclaimed Baldur's Gate 3 that came out earlier this August. I have not played it myself, but I have noticed its impact in other ways. And that is, if you check the interests page on MTG Stocks, you can find quite a few
Shout
cards.
out MTG Stocks.
You can find quite a few cards from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, the set that came out a while back. People are rediscovering characters from this set and aspects of it and just mechanics, and they're giving this set a whole nother pass over. Specifically, the biggest one is Karlach, the tiefling barbarian that gives you extra combat steps, who is, I presume, some named infamous character in this fantasy realm.
Yeah, but have you considered, and this is important, DJ, have you considered that the art of Karlach is what X, the website formerly known as Twitter, might call spicy?
So I can talk about this at length.
Thank you.
So Baldur's Gate was supposed to release, the video game Baldur's Gate 3 was supposed to release far closer to the set's release, the trading card game set's release, than it did. But obviously video games have development issues and things have to be delayed. But
Magic never runs into that.
I mean, for the most part, they really don't, though, right? There's not that many delays in Magic product. And, you know, you look at it, if that set released in tandem with Baldur's Gate, you would have seen people buying Karlach and whatever other cool characters there are. Yeah. This is like a one-to-one parallel about why someone would go to Pokemon and pay extra for a Pikachu that's unplayable. Because they care about the character because of everything else going on in the brand. This is literally what I talk about when I talk about Magic becoming a lifestyle brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Lord of the Rings is the most successful set of all time because people care about Frodo and Aragorn, so they bought the Magic cards for them. People care about Karlach, so they bought the card for Karlach. Like, if you want to make your game a long-standing success, you need stuff like this. You need a reason for people to care about the characters, because for the most part, people aren't going to care about Jace Beleren, the character, on a Magic card.
They don't care about him on a baseball card either.
Well,
Yeah, they do.
But that is the point. Magic, and I've talked about this one before. Like Magic doesn't have a Karibo or a Poro or a cute little fluffy thing that you can easily merchandise as
The
a
Fibblethip.
furball. They tried with Fibblethip, and
They did try.
it's not a good choice for that. But also, like, they don't have a cartoon. They don't have a TV show. They have a Netflix series supposedly in development.
Well, DJ mentioned the anime trailer for the latest set earlier. Maybe get a Netflix show that looks anything like that. That'd be pretty cool.
But it's 15 seconds long for a reason, Corbin. Like
I understand.
Like, I have people come into my store all the time who are like asking for, like, one of the most popular Pokemon from Generation 2 is Donphan, and like that might surprise some people, but on the anime, Ash had a Donphan. That was one of like the first Pokemon he caught in the region.
Yeah.
Heracross for the same reason. Like, Heracross in its own is like a pretty cool Pokemon, Donphan too, but they're not set to be someone's favorite really very often. But because Ash Ketchum had one, it's all of a sudden somebody's favorite.
That's probably why Heracross was one of the region exclusives in Pokemon Go. I always wondered why they chose Heracross, but if it has a following because of that, that would make.
Well, they did Tauros for North America for pretty clear reasons, but
And then Kangaskhan was for Australia.
yeah,
Kangaskhan was Australia. Mr. Mime was Europe. I got my Mr. Mime. That was fun.
that also tracks. Like there are
the
cultural
Kangaskhan
reasons for all of those.
Yeah, Pokemon Go with the Magic Pro Tour in Australia. I wasn't
That'd
there,
be sick.
sadly. But yeah, that was a whole thing with people trying to catch their Kangaskhan. Like, that was the summer of Pokemon. It was a big deal.
I do remember the day Pokemon Go released. I almost got hit by a car trying to catch a Dodrio. It was very
And that person almost hit a pedestrian trying to catch the same Dodrio.
correct.
I might have been in on day like 3 or 4, but I was definitely in on the first week where you go to the park and there's a million people running around. We went and camped out the cemetery because someone said you catch ghost Pokemon at the cemetery.
I remember my roommate was like, "You're going on a lot of walks today. Is everything okay? You never leave the house."
They eventually locked up the cemetery because too many people were going there. It had 2 Pokestops, though, and a gym.
I think I've told this story on the cast before, but just in case I haven't, one time I was trying to catch a Tyranitar in Pokemon Go in the middle of the night, and I drove my car into a place I super wasn't supposed to be. And I got out of my car to look, because like I wasn't finding it on my phone, because there was like a tracker that said it was there. And I realized that I parked my car like maybe 2.5 feet from the edge of a massive quarry that I did not see. So like I almost died trying to catch Pokemon in Pokemon Go multiple times. Honestly, I am proof that game. The average person is dumb enough to get hurt playing that game.
I was at a show in Wisconsin, and I saw a Charizard on the tracker, but I was behind the booth, so I couldn't go get it. And so I gave my phone to a random stranger to go outside and catch the Charizard for me and come back. And people looked at me like I was a moron, and it's Wisconsin. He'll come back. He'll feel bad. If he steals it, he'll feel bad and come back.
Wow, that's a lot of faith in Wisconsinites.
Did you get your phone back?
I did, and I got the Charizard too.
It's all a win.
Happy ending. Well, that's how Magic works these days. So keep that in mind moving forward, right? Baldur's Gate.
Also for like the Fallout sets and things like that
Exactly.
that are like the Final Fantasy sets. You do not want to underestimate the fan base for these.
Right.
If the character is evocative enough.
You know what it does, kind of, is sort of widen an opportunity for a card spike. I didn't think about this until this came up, right? But if we're seeing Baldur's Gate card spike now when the game comes out, what happens when the next D&D movie comes out for the D&D sets?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. When the sets are, it's one thing when they release alongside the thing, but there's a real opportunity if you're paying attention to the, Baldur's Gate release schedule.
Yeah, if you are
now that we know this is a thing.
If you're a franchised supporter of that fandom, you have an advantage over other people in knowing which characters are cared about and knowing just the things that me, as somebody who sees these as widgets and just numbers on the spreadsheet, like you have the advantage over somebody who's just trying to create a volume structure for selling cards. You can do that as a casual player of like, oh, I'll buy 10 car locks because that particular character is very, very popular, and then you sell them later for 3 times as much.
The other thing to look at here might, and this into our next point here, the fall super drop for the secret lairs. But look at, like, say, the Arcane cards if Arcane Season 2 comes out.
Yeah.
Keep in mind.
Yeah. It pains me to give League of Legends any credit, but yeah.
Well, let's talk about the fall super drop of secret lairs, because we needed more secret lairs dropped.
Do we have to?
We got baseball cards.
We do have to talk about it. The upside is that I don't think there's much to talk about in terms of looking at this from solely a standpoint to make a few bucks. There's a lot of secret lairs there. A lot of them have really terrible names. But the one that seems to be the standout pick is the VHS themed one. For those of you who don't know what a VHS is, die. But
they'll die after you, DJ. Just for the record.
Are you just telling children to die? Okay, boomer.
But that secret lair has a copy of the first sliver in it, which, if you were not paying attention, recently spiked to around $50. It also has a copy of Food Chain, which, if you were not paying attention, recently dropped to like $15. It's no longer a $50 card, if you might remember it as. And then it has 2 other cards that you don't really care about: Rewind and Rampant Growth, I think. But this is the secret lair to buy that mirrors the cereal secret lair. Again, breakfast cereal, think Wheaties. That secret lair had Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, which at the time was very, very expensive, $60 to $70, I believe. And that secret lair was available for $30. And a lot of people bought it because it was the very clear favorite, and that tanked the price of that Ulamog. Not to enough to the point that it wasn't still a good buy, because it was. You were paying $30 for Ceaseless Hunger plus Lucky Charms McGee and Cocoa Puffs, the wielder of double blades or whatever. But like, this VHS secret lair is that, and you can pretty comfortably max out your order on those, get them, and then probably buy wish the first sliver for $25-$30, and then you might have a free food chain or something. This is that secret lair.
Yeah, there are worse things than that.
The rest of them do not appear to sustain their value just based on the cards alone. There's a couple nice, not first time foils, but first reprint foils, I guess is the best way to put that. Noxious Revival is getting its first time reprint since Neo Phyrexia. Oppression is getting its first foil reprint since 7th edition, and that is like a $300 to $400 foil that was completely unsellable and is now more completely unsellable.
Yeah, really unsellable now.
So there are a couple that, if you were waiting for that first time reprint foil, those are the ones that you can probably get cheaper on the secondary market, and you don't even need to buy the lair. But yeah, if these spark joy for you, I think you can wait. Is also just actionable advice of these lairs tend to be bought at a quantity that just means that you'll be able to get them later by people who regretted their purchase or who just forgot that they ordered them drunkenly at 11 p.m. So the era of buy all of the instant secret lairs is and has been over for a while. There are some that I do think are still actionable immediately, things like the Arcane franchise or Dracula or that kind of stuff. But the VHS one, and again, a VHS is something that you should Google and find out and ask your parents about. But
the VHS fandom is really going to be on that one.
What are they going to do? Mail me a physical copy of their complaint? Like on
that's
VHS?
I don't follow these secret lairs that close, so that was a good breakdown, DJ.
Yeah.
All right, before we get out of here this week, we want to drop a shout out to our sponsor, Coalesce Apparel and Design. Use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery there. You can get a discount on apparel from any of your favorite creators, us or anyone else. Okay, it is time for Pick of the Week.
Pick of the Week. Pick of the Week. Pick of the Week. Time for the Pick of the Week.
This week, my Pick of the Week is a card that has seen play already, has seen a little bit of price movement, but Control Master Guillaume Wafotapa has been playing on Magic Online with 4 copies of Flame of Anor in a Grixis control deck with 4 Snapcaster Mages. Flame of Anor, when you get to turn on the wizard mode, is incredibly powerful, so much so that Rhino's decks were playing Mutavault for a while, just for that. From Lord of the Rings, one of those things where people who buy them probably aren't going to be selling them to stores, and so the trickle on it will be pretty slow.
This card it's so good. It just does everything.
For anybody who knows what a VHS is, you can stop picking Electrolyze from your bulk.
That's a good point, DJ.
Yeah. This card
really Flame of Anor, 3 modes. If you control a wizard, choose 2. It's so good for those Rhino and Living Index in the sideboards because it can destroy the creatures like Containment Priest that people play to hate those decks, or it can hit the Chalice of the Voids that people play, or you can draw 2, right? I've seen it. I literally watched it 5-0 a league in Merfolk because most of the deck is wizards. It's just an extremely powerful card.
Now imagine for a moment that you're playing Control and you're a little bit behind. You need to draw some cards and kill a creature. So you Snapcaster Mage the Flame of Anor you used as a removal spell earlier, destroy your opponent's creature, draw 2 cards, draw another removal spell and a counter spell, untap, draw another Snapcaster Mage. The game is over. It's just like such a hammer in that kind of deck.
And then you wake up. You're playing Snapcaster Mage. Wake up. Your wife loves you. Wake up. It's been 2 years.
Snapcaster Mage is coming back. It's coming back.
Guillaume Wafotapa says it's good. I believe him. I would die.
Oh my gosh! I said it was good weeks ago. Guillaume's just following my lead. What a smart.
That's true. He's a big fan of yours, actually.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And we are going to follow this trail of crumbs to the end of the podcast, and that is my pick of the week. A X 20-cent card, currently a 40-something cent card. It's already doubled. Trail of Crumbs is something that it's the same kind of pick as Punishing Fire, where it's something you want to own a 5-row of if you're going to go in on it. Because any actual money you make on it will be made just by listing the copies in volume, and you just want to find a store that will take all of them, or you want to list them all on your store and sell them as playsets at a time in quantity with other cards in the order. Trail of Crumbs is a Throne of Eldraine enchantment that dodged reprints throughout the preview of both the commander decks, the set itself, and I don't think it's in the list. Pretty sure it's not in the list.
I don't believe so.
But just a food enchantment, comes in, makes a food, and then it turns your food into more card advantage. And as we saw in Lord of the Rings, there are plenty of cards in that set that turn food into card advantage. And food is not just a way to gain 3 life, it is a whole lifestyle.
Trail of Crumbs is the card that truly everyone talks about Cat Oven in the various formats in which people, and I get it. Obviously Red Black Sacrifice is a thing without it, Trail of Crumbs, but Trail of Crumbs was really the card that made that the best deck in historic or what standard or series of years we were playing with those cards, because it's just such absurd card advantage.
What's
especially
cool
obviously combined with the you start playing with gooses and you're playing with Cat Oven type things. Trail of Crumbs is very powerful.
I played a game of Pioneer early in the format where I got a Chandra Torch of Defiance emblem and lost like 4 turns later, 5 or 6 turns later maybe, because my opponent just had like Trail of Crumbs going in the food deck and just like managed to gain like 7 life a turn or something, plus develop their board. And I would like draw a Glorybringer, deal 5 to them, and then hit them for 4, and then still be behind.
It's a hell of a card.
And for those of you who want to get foils, I think the boat has already sailed on those. They did already spike to around $3. And MTG Stocks graph is just sort of doing the heartbeat looking thing, a way higher number than it used to be. So non-foils, you can still buy bricks. Just find a seller like Star City or Card Kingdom. Card Kingdom will limit your order quantity to 8, I think. But just find somebody who's willing to, like TCG Direct Seller, that will sell you a nice little 400 count box of them. Get in at maybe a quarter and then get out at $1 maybe later down the line. That kind of thing.
All right, I like it. I'll finish it off this week with what I believe is a commander pick, Treasure Vault from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It doesn't have any reprints. It's just got the several different reprints from that, including the wild, I guess, D&D book looking ones. But yeah, the cards climbed from about $5 to $6, on the way up to $7 right now. It's climbed before, in the past it actually was closer to 10, but it seems to me like a card that has settled down. It's now 2 years since it's come out, and it's starting to move again. I think it's just more likely to move up to 10 than down to 5. But yeah, I'm just looking at Treasure Vault. Just a nice, attractive looking, slow, steady graph. It looks like it's about to pop here on MTG. If you've got any adventures in the Forgotten Realms, look to the lands there for Treasure Vault.
It's the kind of card that I feel like is too good and worth like a little too much for them to put into something that's not the list, but also not good enough for them to bother actually reprinting it. So it's kind of like the ideal candidate for this sort of thing. It is like a pretty strong list consideration, but
yeah, and I mean it is certainly. Look, it's not. Wouldn't be the first, $7 to $10 card that they've obliterated by putting in a pre-con, but this is the world we live in, and the graph looks good where we're standing now.
Right.
So yeah, that's all we can do. All right.
Yeah.
I think that does it for us this week. But before we go, we've got one secret segment. And that secret segment is called Corbin Reads DJ a Comment from YouTube. It might be something different every week, but this week
I forgot about this.
I've been saving it. And this is look, we get comments of people who go, we appreciate our patrons who get
Corbin,
the episode.
Where can people find these?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but our patrons get the episode directly early every week at patreon.com/BSB. But everyone else who might watch on YouTube at youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery, we welcome the comments. We have a handful or more of comments every week. We appreciate them when they're kind. We really appreciate them when they're mean. So kindly, selectively mean, right?
Where do the VHS listeners go to comment?
And in this case, I think they probably just, I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you. They go to their grandkids.
They mail the letter in to you.
But here's the deal, DJ. One of our listeners wanted to say something to you.
Okay.
This is, if you remember our episode last week, there was a lot of talk about DJ and his sword named Card Garden, and various things of this nature. So what they say is, Psychozen7169, by the way, says, DJ, as a 50-ish-year-old person who appreciates MJ, I approve of your store name and the use of buds for your patrons. I would also recommend you open an MJ store under the same name.
I think MJ is trademarked by DC as a character, but I could be wrong there. I don't think I can.
Yeah.
I think MJ is trademarked by Nike for like Jordans.
I don't know if you can trademark it, but I just want to say that the people out there appreciate DJ's store, associations. So, congrats on DJ. Check out Card Garden. Check out his Patreon. Also, thank you for supporting us in this podcast. You all make it all possible from subscribing on YouTube, hitting that thumbs up, sharing, subscribing to us on your favorite podcast app, supporting our sponsors.
If you can
MTG
play
stocks.
Pokemon Go and catch a coughing while going 80 miles an hour, you can hit the like button on YouTube. I'm just saying.
It's true until it's not,
Yeah. You'll never know if you're able to do it until you don't do it.
That's exactly right. And on that note, everybody, thank you so much for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. We'll be back next week. As always, you can get our episodes early at patreon.com/BSB. We appreciate everyone who makes it possible for us to do that and take care of our staff. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time.